Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's interview. Today, we got Milo Mirra, the guy who's been famously known now for the pogo stick moves, right? So, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Cam. How are you doing?
Great. I saw all your moves a long time ago. I know that I made a video about it a couple months ago, and so whenever I started up doing interviews, I wanted to get you in the chair as one of my first guests.
Awesome.
So,
I'm excited
now,
to be here.
yeah, the first question, obviously, what everybody wants to know, when did you figure out that wrestling was more than just a hobby?
Yeah, so I mean, like, wrestling has always been in my life, right? Like, I started watching wrestling when I was a little kid, right? I was a big John Cena fan when I was a young kid. I used to watch. I actually started watching wrestling with ECW, best of
Oh,
ECW
wow.
VHS tapes. Yeah, my older brother was into wrestling, and he's 12 years older than me, so he had a different taste in wrestling than I probably should have had as a 6, 7 year old child. But that's how it goes. So I started watching ECW, and I got really into wrestling, and I was watching WWE whenever I could. Right, I used to hop online, watch any video I could find on YouTube, WWE.com, any sort of wrestling content I could find. So I've been obsessed since I was a little kid. Around 2022, end of 2022, I was kind of missing the performance aspect of my life. I've always kind of been a performer my entire life, and I was missing that performance aspect. And I always had this like itch in the back of my mind that I was like, I think I could be a professional wrestler. Like, I think I could do it if I tried. And so the New England Pro Wrestling Academy had a 1-day fantasy camp where they were going to show the basics of professional wrestling and show you how to bump, show you how to run the ropes, lock up, all those sorts of basic things in pro wrestling. I went to the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. They had a 1-day fantasy camp, showed us all the ropes. And I fell in love with it that day. I fell in love with pro wrestling and actually doing pro wrestling. And I signed up for a year of training that day. And I said, I'm going to try and do this with all of my heart and everything I can give to it. And I started training 4 days a week. I started going to every single wrestling show I could go to that was in the area, which in New England is a lot of wrestling shows. It was kind of from that day forward, it was like wrestling was a very serious thing for me.
So you jumped right in. First day, you said 1 year, let's do it.
Yeah. It was kind of my plan, right? My plan was kind of like, I'll sign up for a year and I'll really give it a really, really good go for a year. And if nothing really kind of comes from it in that first year, then, maybe I'll take a step back. But, luckily enough, I ended up being pretty decent at it and was able to get on shows within about 6 months. And so I've been wrestling I debuted at Chaotic Wrestling, and I've been wrestling for Chaotic and all over New England ever since. So yeah.
Yeah, I think ECW is definitely not the best thing to start with if you're 6 or 7 years old. I mean, good. I mean, to be fair, though, some of the best moments in history happen in ECW. But,
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's the greatest influence. I think that everybody knows you now, even if they don't watch you week to week and in indie shows, they know your pogo stick cutter and various other moves. How did you come up with this?
So, I mean, the pogo stick has been a part of my life much longer than wrestling has been a part of my life, right? So, like, I started pogo sticking when I was 8. I saw a video on YouTube, and I saw a guy doing backflips on a pogo stick, and I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I had just gotten a pogo stick for Christmas, and I said, let me go outside my garage. Let me learn how to jump on this pogo stick and try to do some tricks. Let's see what happens. And then as I was doing that, I kind of found that I really enjoyed it. And then I went online and I found an online forum, xpogo.com. I found a bunch of people who were also doing extreme pogo sticking. And it kind of all just like grew from there, right? So like I started getting bigger pogo sticks. I started doing flips on pogo sticks. I ended up going to the world championships of pogoing. I I did well enough at the World Championships to get sponsored by Xpogo to do shows all over the country. I've done NBA halftime shows. I've done state fairs all over the place, Monster Jam shows. And then, I kind of in more recent years, I ended up winning the World Championships twice. And
wow,
I've kind of went from being a professional pogo sticker to being a professional wrestler now. So the pogo stick has always been there. And when I started wrestling, I kind of wanted to move away from the pogo stick. Like I wanted to be a wrestler. But I think the connection between the pogo stick and wrestling is clear now, right? Like,
yeah,
there's so much I can do in a wrestling ring and a wrestling match with the pogo stick. And it's such a unique skill that it's, not using it would have been silly. So, here we are.
I don't know if there's too many people in wrestling that have won world championships and then transferred over to wrestling. So you doing that is like unique because nobody else does that. And now anybody who does do it is going to be known as the copier of Milo Mirra. So I mean, now you've like fully paved your name in there. And did that get you into wrestling anymore, or were you just like one day looking up at the ceiling and were like, maybe I could do a cutter from the outside to a guy on the top rope?
I mean, like those ideas just like come out of like working with my opponents and like thinking about what we can do. That spot is really interesting actually, because it's that spot I did with Anthony Green, who's another like big wrestler for Limitless Wrestling. He's wrestled for NXT and all over the place, right? He's wrestled for pretty much every major television promotion.
Very good.
Very, very good wrestler. And actually one of my trainers.
Wow.
Me and AG are really close. And so when we had this match coming up at Limitless, we knew that the finish was going to be something to do with the pogo stick. And we were talking and we were like, what could we do here? And I said, hey, I think if you're standing on the second rope, I could jump over and give you a cutter from the top. And he was like, all right, let's try it. And then so we did a couple practice runs beforehand where I just jumped over the top rope. And then he goes, yeah, I think we could send it. And so we kind of just sent it in the match. And you saw the clip. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting to think of the new pogo stuff. And I have a lot more ideas that I can do. I haven't given everything yet. So
really?
There's a lot of stuff that can be done with this pogo.
There's more moves you can do?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, there's cross bodies. I mean, there's cutters like you do. I mean, there's opportunities on opportunities. So for you, it's insane because there's nobody else that does it. It's not been done before. So you're paving your way through history as we speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every time we do something on the pogo stick, it's new to professional wrestling, which is not something that everybody can say, which is a lot of fun.
And it goes viral every time. I believe you remember whenever I made the video about it, whenever I first saw it. Was that the first time you brought it out?
That was the second time I had done the cutter.
Okay.
I've
looked way too clean to be the first time. There's no way.
I've done it twice, both with AG, and both times were very clean. AG's a professional, so he helps out with that spot a lot.
And one thing that came out very recently, very, very recently, you listed 495 on PWI's top 500. Does that give you any confidence going into 2026 and further shows?
Man, it's crazy, right? Because I never thought that being, I've only been wrestling on shows for about 2 years now, and being at the point I'm at and being listed in PWI 500 is like an incredible honor, right? Having my name mentioned in PWI is like, that's the coolest thing to me, right? Like I used to get Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines when I was a kid and read them and just like see what was in them. And to have my name and like be listed in this list is like, it's a big deal for me. And like, I think it's, I listed lower on the list. And so that kind of just gives me more room to improve, right? So like, I'm 495 this year, and I hope to go into 2026 in this next evaluation year and kind of raise my stock and get myself up to a higher number next year. So we'll have to see.
And the people you are behind, or the people that you are behind as well as in front of, are serious talent. So that must feel good knowing that you are I mean, there's always room to improve. For any wrestler in the world, no matter if you're top in the best company in the world, there's still room to improve. But knowing that you made that list, that the confidence that you're going into in 2026, insane. If for me, does that give you more motivation and going into these matches, knowing that you have made the list?
I mean, it just makes me want to go harder, right? Like it makes me want to try harder, right? Like it's like, you know, you get that bit of recognition, right? But it's maybe, and I think I speak for most wrestlers when I say that, like, we're always striving for perfection and perfection is something that we will never get. Right. And it's like, it's a constant grind, professional wrestling. It's every day I do something related to wrestling, right? Like I work my day job every day, 9 to 5. You're talking to me literally just as I got out of work, right? This is where I work. This is my desk, right? But like I work my day job and then I leave my day job and then I do things related to wrestling, right? Like, so like I'm having an interview with you today, right? After this, I'll be going to the gym probably. I go lift every morning. I go to wrestling training whenever I can. And I have shows every weekend. I'm driving hours on end to get to those shows. And I'm always trying to put on the best match that I can. And it's a grind. But being listed in PWI 500 is kind of validation that the grind is working, right? It's a little bit of validation that like what I'm doing is catching people's attention. But I'm not in WWE, I'm not in AEW, I'm not in TNA, right? So there's more work to be done, and the grind doesn't stop. So it definitely motivates me to keep doing more and keep doing what I'm doing, and keeping on.
Yeah, I think right now this is being an indie wrestler is the most grind you're ever going to have to put in, because it's getting that recognition. But now you've been recognized by the one of the biggest organizations of pro wrestling. So now many people would kind of start letting off, but you clearly are putting more and more gas in the tank. So I'm excited to see what else you can bring out.
Yeah, you can't stop, right? Like I think like this business is like it's brutal at times, right? Like it'll chew you up and spit you out. So you have to really just like you really have to keep putting in the work. And if you keep putting in the work, people tend to recognize that. So yeah.
And my last question, I know you mentioned it earlier, and this is going to be it. This is going to be a little sneak peek for your fans and everybody else around the world that will be seeing a viral moment. Is there any other or one more move you can leak that you may be working on with that pogo stick?
Well, the pogo stick is like is pretty much just the top rope anywhere I want it to be, right? I think there's some things to be done with some 450s off the pogo stick or 630s or things like that. So
I just got a picture of that in my mind. There is.
Stay tuned. I think there's some things that are going to be done relatively soon. I think the best place to check in on me right now, if you want to check out a lot of the innovation I'm going to be doing with the pogo stick, is probably at Chaotic Wrestling, right? Like I just turned babyface there. I just turned on my faction. I am now a babyface at Chaotic Wrestling, and I will get to use the pogo stick whenever I want. And I think there's going to be a lot of really cool, fun stuff coming up at Chaotic with the storylines that are going on there. So
which one do you like more, being in a faction or do you like being on your own?
Oh man, it's hard, right? Like it's there's different pros and cons to each, right? Like I think when you're in a faction, you wrestle a lot of tag matches, you wrestle a lot of like multi-man matches, which are fun. I love calling tag matches. I love being in tag matches. I started as a tag wrestler. So it's a lot of fun. It's hard. Tag wrestling is really hard to make good and clean and fun to watch. But when you get a tag match right, like I think there's almost nothing like it in professional wrestling. You have 4 people who are all on the same page doing stuff that like you would never see in a singles match, simply because you have more people to wrestle with and do stuff with. So being in a faction tends to lead to those things a lot more. Being a singles wrestler and on my own means I wrestle a lot more singles matches, which puts the focus solely on me, which I like a lot. I mean, like I like being able to show off and show what I can do. But it is a bit of a challenge. You know, you don't have other people to lean on, and you kind of just have to push and show what you can do. So, yeah, there's different pros and cons to each. I think, to answer your question of which one I prefer, I think right now being on my own is what I want to do, and kind of where we're headed and what we're doing. So that's kind of where my mind's been at, and that's what I've been focused on. So.
Well, that concludes it. I thank you for coming on. I think it was an honor, because I think that it's only up from here. 2026, you've been listed. I mean, if you wouldn't have got listed, there's still eyes on you either way. There's thousands of people tuning into Chaotic, Limitless, everywhere that you are. So now 2026 is a bright year. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Cam. Thanks for having me.